And in a time of work and study at home and social distancing, it's even more important to go into digital marketing. And tourism is no exception. As of January 2021, there were nearly 74 million internet users in the Philippines and roughly 89 million social media users. That's 80% of our total population who turned digital. And so, to tell us more about digital platforms and social media, our next Pep Talk speaker is not just an associate professor at the University of the Philippines, but is also an accomplished author, trainer, and marketing consultant. Let us all learn from Miss Maricel Gatchalian-Badilla.
Hello everyone! Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. I'm sure busog na kayo with information, but please do allow me to have another hour of your time on a Sunday to discuss this very important topic of digital marketing in the tourism context. So allow me to share my screen for a bit. So again, good afternoon to all my fellow tourism advocates. Indeed, it's a privilege on my end to again be invited by the Tourism Promotions Board, headed of course by the very dynamic COO, Attorney Antoinette Velasco Aliones. So I am an educator, researcher, and my work with various local government units and national and international organizations for tourism and communications have actually given me a wider perspective and as I apply theory into practice. And I'm grateful to the Tourism Promotions Board for this opportunity to go beyond my desk, my books, and my virtual classroom. So today, the outline of my presentation will cover 4 main points. And these include the internet and social media penetration to give us an appreciation of how widely diverse this social media and internet is in the Philippines. It also will include digital platforms and how it is engaged in every part of the travel planning process. We also will look at the roles and dimensions of social media to have an appreciation of how social media works and how it ticks. And lastly, a few recommendations from yours truly as I continue to study this phenomenon of digital marketing. So let's proceed. Okay. For sure, we all know that the pandemic has amplified the use of digital marketing in tourism, especially since this crisis has brought about innovation. Earlier, our speakers mentioned about digitally enhanced workplaces, having a GCash. Before the pandemic, I never thought of having an online wallet. And it took the pandemic for me to embrace that digital online banking and a digital wallet will have to work. And we'll have to trust technology for these things. Although initially, most of us practitioners have resisted online transactions, calling them disruptors. Our friends from the travel agency business were, I think, the first to craft this because of the online travel agency phenomenon that we call them disruptors. However, after COVID-19, I think we have no choice but to embrace technology. Our industry has transitioned from being high touch to high tech. And because of the great impact the pandemic has had in travel, tourism, and hospitality, a lot of tourism establishments have evolved and have moved from face-to-face check-in and check-out into online or web check-in and check-out. We've gotten into cashless transactions. We've used artificial intelligence. Sadly, even if we wanted to go for face-to-face tours, we had to contend with our virtual tours. Also, some businesses had to develop e-concierge programs And a lot of us tourism managers have become more open to developing a lot of applications, robotic applications, so to speak, that will enhance the tourist experience while maintaining, of course, social distancing and health and safety protocols. So in this highly interpersonal business, where we used to be always present, physically present, we move into being digitally present. Okay. And because of the highly interpersonal business of serving people, we are now aided by these digital platforms. Now, these social media platforms that used to be disruptors, but I'd like to call them now our game changers or our innovations to the way we do things, because whether we like it or not, this is the new way of doing things. So let me first travel you to some data on internet and social media penetration worldwide, and then we'll zero in on the Philippine context. The website wearesocial.com has a lot of studies that talk about internet and social media penetration. And this is one of the very compelling slides that show that 4.66 billion users of the internet. There are now 4.66 billion users across different countries. And 4.2 of this 4.6 million are into social media. And this figure has actually grown by leaps and bounds during the pandemic because of obvious reasons. And this is actually equivalent to about 53% of the total population worldwide. So let's visit how much internet use people actually now consume. Okay. So there's about the global average is at 6 minutes 54, 6 hours rather, 6 hours and 54 minutes. So that's roughly about 7 hours of internet use a day. However, look at the Philippines. We are almost roughly at 11 hours. Okay? And this is affirming the fact that Filipinos are again reported to spend the greatest time online. At an average, we are at the top of the heap at 10 hours, 56 minutes. Okay. And then on social media consumption, there is an average of about 1.3 million users who have joined social media, or roughly there are about 15 new social media users every second. So the typical social media user actually uses the internet uses social media at 2.25%. 2 hours and 25 minutes. Pero ang Pilipino, we're up top of the heap again. We are at 4 hours, 15 minutes per day, making us still the reigning social media capital of the world. Or dahil ba mabagal ang internet connection natin, kaya we spend so much time on the internet? Because studies have also shown that we have one of the most expensive internet facility and lowest speed of the region at 5.5 Mbps, okay, with a peak connection of about 45 Mbps. Together with Indonesia, Vietnam, and India, we have higher internet costs relative to our average income. But then again, it did stop the Filipinos from spending so much time on the internet, especially now with work from home and online school being the norm. We are expecting that these percentages will likely to grow for 2021. The internet has become the trusted data source in the Asia-Pacific region, and travel has already been widely organized online. As you can see on the slide, where e-commerce has become a prevailing norm, no? With global internet use being high on those who have bought something online across different ages, from teenage years to about your senior years. There's about 70%. Now it reaches a peak of about 80 during our midlife when we're actively at work. Probably we have more money to spend. That's why it has a higher percentage. So All these actually give us an idea of why it's important for us as tourism marketers, as tourism business owners, to know how it is to market online, okay, to engage digital platforms and social media platforms for our own personal businesses. And I'm sure to most of you, you also have definitely bought something on the internet during this pandemic and probably have increased your social media engagement, okay, to more than the usual average globally of 2 hours and 25 minutes. Ako, I think our phones have a monitoring app, right? A monitoring of where we are online. Okay, so what is social media? So what is social media marketing rather? Social media marketing has become a trend. No? It has become the go-to, especially since people cannot go out. And because people cannot go out, they cannot see the billboards, they cannot receive flyers or tarpaulin streamers and the like. And not many people are on TV anymore. Most of them would engage using their smartphone and look at social media. So social media marketing, briefly, is the use of social media technologies to create, communicate, deliver, and exchange offerings that have value for an organization's stakeholders. So looking at this definition, it is truly using social media as a marketing tool compared to previous years where social media was personally used to communicate with friends. Now it has become a marketing and a business tool. So a lot of studies have shown the role of social media in tourism. The role of social media in tourism has allowed, okay, a lot of destination marketing organizations to maximize their presence online. And the roles that social media plays include they provide information about the destination. Okay, it influences travel behavior and purchase intentions, and it also helps influence destination image. My research, my research interests move towards social media and image formation online, and I have seen the power of social media, the proper use of social media in influencing how customers view destination image. For instance, in a recent study we made of travel bloggers who were stranded in the Philippines because of the pandemic, we did a content analysis of their videos on YouTube, and we realized that they were really describing the Filipinos as very helpful and that there was no other place they would want to be stranded in but the Philippines. So this reinforces the image, the current image of the Philippines, of the fact that really the people, the Filipino people, that shapes the joy of people, of tourists coming to the Philippines. It reinforces our brand. It's more fun in the Philippines because they say there's no other place that they'd rather be stranded in but the Philippines. So now we look at, on the second part of my presentation, I wanted to look at how digital platforms are essential to organize travel online compared to the traditional travel planning process that we used to do of the AIDA, right? If you remember your marketing subjects in the past, where you try to catch attention, interest, desire, and action, we now look at organizing travel through digital platforms through the 5 components of the process: dreaming, planning, booking, experiencing, and sharing. So on the dreaming part, this is when people come across social media posts of friends and say, oh, I also want to go to that place, right? If you see a post of someone on a nice beach where there's the sun and you can imagine the wind blowing through their faces, okay, you're also dreaming of the same thing. Or you see someone on top of a mountain with their hands raised as if really glorious appreciation of nature, you're partly dreaming. So you have social media with you because you saw them first on the internet. In fact, there are stories of destinations, unknown destinations, like, for example, Kalangaman Island, which was previously unknown, but because of a social media post, it has grown. Okay, the awareness of the destination has grown, and people now put Kalangaman Island into their bucket list. The second stage is planning. So when you start planning, what do? You look at your uh, options. You narrow down your options into feasible destinations. So here you look at information. Where do you search this information? Do you search it in books or brochures? Not anymore. You source it from the websites, from social media, from the Facebook page, from YouTube. You look at your favorite travel bloggers and you see their recommendations. So during the planning process, you are already identifying your specific destination of choice. Studies have shown that it takes about, for an important trip, it takes about 3 months in the planning process. So this is where you start looking at, look at videos and check out, put it on your list of activities that you want to do, places you want to visit, food choices that you want to eat. Okay, so that's planning. And then when you're already in the booking stage, okay, so now you have chosen your destination and now you're ready to book. So you also check out online platforms for this. So what kind of online platforms do we use for booking? So you have what? Airbnb. Okay, you have your hotels.com, Agoda, Expedia. You check out the cheapest rates. Okay, you have to choose, you have to look at Skyscanner, Fare Compare, Kayak. All these sounds familiar. Actually, when I was preparing for this, I actually miss looking at these websites. Because if we look at these websites, we just salivate diba? Nainip lang tayo, hindi naman natin magagamit. So why bother look at these websites? But we do look at these websites very frequently. Inaabangan natin yung best locations, best rates through the internet. And that is when you use online platforms when you're ready to book. In fact, 80% of millennials book their accommodations and transportation online. Experiencing, wow, this is the best part, okay? Where in the past, this did not exist, okay? Digital platforms did not exist. So when we're there in the destination already, we should have a list, right? We have a physical map, okay? We already have the tickets printed out. But nowadays, with digital platforms, when we're there experiencing the destination, we download apps. What apps do we download? We download Waze, Grab, Uber, Klook. Okay, and research have shown that we have grown. The Asia Pacific region has grown in terms of the huge proportion of travel that is organized online. So when this thing happens, when we're in a destination, when we book Grab, we feel safe. Okay, actually, just as a side story of Grab, okay, it's a digital platform that was first originally created for the single female traveler. Okay, there were two Malaysians who were doing their graduate school in Harvard, and since Grab is a Singapore-based startup, it was founded by two Malaysians. And their dream was for the app to assist single female travelers to arrive at their destination safely without fear of being harassed or being overpriced. So with Grab, they were able to do that. And we as single female travelers, and now even as families, we experience safe travel because we're comforted by the fact that we're protected by the rate that the Grab app gives. In fact, there's a new innovation to that, which I haven't used, but it's a good discovery for me when I was preparing for this presentation. There's this new Grab app feature that offers a translation function. So when you go to a destination and you don't speak the language, you can type in English or whatever language, and it will automatically translate to the language that your driver understands. Isn't that amazing? And these digital platforms have really grown and have assisted us as tourists to experience the best possible activities in destinations. And lastly, sharing. You know, itong sharing is the last phase that really caused the boom, no? Created the boom in travel demand pre-pandemic, okay, when experiences are shared during and after trips. And this is what inspires other travelers. And so the cycle of dreaming, planning, booking, experiencing, and then dreaming again, sharing, and then dreaming again just goes round and round and round. So in this aspect, this is where you use Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever channels you have. You know, there are more channels or media channels that are coming out, and we just have to really find the best channel that will work for us as we share our experiences with others. So this sharing happens when extreme emotions are experienced. Okay, this is something that I am passionate about. When we cannot just force people to share. No, oh, share mo naman, or share mo yung message ko, etc. It has to come with an extreme emotion. Okay, so when do people share? People share when either they are so happy that you have exceeded their expectations, or when they are so mad that you did not meet their expectations. So you have to be either of the two so that you can elicit a share in social media. Okay? And whether it's a rave or a rant, you get exposure on social media. Okay? There is a campaign that was created by the Mekong Tourism Coordinating Office, which is composed of 6 countries that traverse the Mekong River Basin. And they had this idea of coming up with a website where you can encourage people to share, okay, their experiences of the Mekong River, the Mekong River experience. And it allows small businesses to have a page on that website and to be heard, to be seen. And it encourages people who have been there to share, because they will raffle off or they will give it discounts and awards to people who share. And they do this, the concept is called hashtag Mekong Moments. Okay, so in barely a year, pre-pandemic, of course, the figures I have is pre-pandemic. In barely a year from its launch, it has generated 10,000 specific regional experiences and about 50,000 shares. Isn't that wonderful? When you have a post and you'd see there are thousands of likes and thousands of shares. So we'll talk about how that happens in a future slide. So when we look at this is what I'm referring to when I said that how can we elicit more engagement? How can we look at social media and make it really something very powerful as a marketing tool? We need to understand it from from the context of its 5 dimensions. Okay, the 5 dimensions are online community, interaction, content sharing, accessibility, and credibility. So social media has these 5 dimensions, okay, which we need to maximize. So I'll explain each one. The online community is a group of people, okay, who share a common interest, okay, or common interests around the product, and they interact in a common space. So whether it's TripAdvisor and they all contribute to that common space, whether it's a Facebook page, a Facebook group, they're there, okay? That is what marketing guru Seth Godin talks about. He calls it your tribe, okay? A tribe, okay? So your online community can grow to become your greatest advocates, and they will establish loyalty, okay? When you have a thriving online community, you actually don't need to answer queries on your page, because they interact among themselves. They're the ones who answer these questions. And when you have a thriving online community, it makes your work as a marketing person really easy. But building the tribe is actually it takes time to build a tribe. You have to have a very good product. You have to have loyal customers, passionate enough to share their experiences to others. Okay, so that's your online community. And in social media, it is going to be a challenge. But once you have your online community, that will work well for you because you have a tribe. I see that we've posted, like in the TPB Facebook page, we've posted it there, right? The events, the PHITEX events and these pep talks. And the sharings, the shares and the comments are generated from your online community. It is not just from the staff. Like I received several forwards of my poster because some of my friends in the academe are part of the online community of TPB. And it's just like saying, hey, I saw that you had a poster. I'm going to watch you tomorrow, etc. So that is your online community. And once you have this, they will be your loyalists. They will bring your brand to a higher level. And the more people in your online community, the better it is for your product. Next is your interaction. Okay, so together with interaction is your online community. But before they become truly engaged in your online community, social media has an interactive nature. Okay, when you put in something, okay, it's easy for the other person to just reply, to like, to give a comment, and to share. Okay? And that is the interaction. And that is so easily facilitated by the features of your different social media channels. Even our digital platforms, it's so easy. You get a response right away from the service provider. So that is crucial. And interaction is not present in traditional channels, remember? You watch on TV, you cannot click the channel and talk to the producer of the TV show, right? But in social media, your voice can easily be heard. Okay, and this is also something that I found out in my studies. Like I did my dissertation on the online image formation of ASEAN as a single destination, and most of their Facebook pages acted like a website. It's a pseudo website because they post something and just leave it there. No, when you engage people in social media, you have to interact with your audience. You have to reply right away. You don't just let the comment stay on the page unattended, questions unanswered, even for a day, okay, because of the interactive nature of social media. We also look at content creation. In this day and age, they say content is king. Okay? And content is critical information that is created to communicate what is central, okay, and effective to the message. And it is quite normal for us to schedule, okay, our content, okay, for an entire year or an entire month. Okay? And this content has to be well designed, and your brand has to be seen from this content. That's why we pay so much now for content creators, because that is what sells on the internet. And lastly, fourth is accessibility. Okay, it's so easy. It's at the tip of your fingers, right? Your accounts can easily be accessed quickly with ease, and it's user friendly. So it's just there. That's why I'm a Generation Xer. So it's hard for me to engage people in, you'll see how much of a boomer I am. Okay, it's hard for me to navigate Twitter, okay, or Discord. Okay, so I'm more of a Facebook, and I'm attempting to master Instagram as well. But as far as accessibility is concerned, social media accounts have high accessibility because everyone has a smartphone, or rather, 60 to 80% of Filipinos have a smartphone, have access to internet, and they can easily navigate their social media platforms from the bed, from the table, from the sofa, from the kitchen, wherever. Okay, so it's easily accessible. And lastly, credibility. Okay. the tourism product is highly tangible, right? You cannot subject it to scrutiny. Rather, it's highly intangible. Unlike consumer products where you can test it, you can try it, you can wear it, okay, before you purchase it. Tourism products, it is intangible. So you have to get parang take the word of the one telling you that it's nice. Okay? Take my word for it that this is a nice place. Because social media offers a lot of credibility. Why? Because you know the identity of the other person you are transacting with. If you don't, they have actually established their credibility with the numerous content that they have produced. And so you believe them. Okay? They become so believable. Okay? And sometimes we ask, diba, if someone tells us something, we ask them, oh, sinong nagsabi niyan? Okay? And when you say the person who said it, then it becomes credible. In the Philippines, it's not just the message, but most of the time, it's also the messenger, the one who said it, that makes it believable, trustworthy. Okay, so credibility in the social media context, okay, it's very high. Okay, so given all these characteristics of social media, it is hard not to embrace it, not to adapt to it at this time. Because first, I think we don't have any choice. Second, it's really growing and has proven to be effective in many destinations, in many businesses, even outside tourism and hospitality. So given that, I leave you with 4 recommendations. Okay. My 4 recommendations is, if you are a social media marketer and you plan to use social media for your businesses, one is to increase engagement. Second is to use stories. Third is to establish your brand. And fourth is to value your community. So let me talk about each one in more detail. First is when we talk about increasing engagement. Let's make sure that we have strategic use of our media channels. Okay? Meaning, each media channel, we have to understand that Facebook has a different audience compared to Instagram, compared to TikTok. Okay? And they also have different demographic profiles. Okay? It's not just the age, it also has to come with demographic profiles. It also comes with their socio-economic status. Okay? Some people also use LinkedIn because LinkedIn, in terms of engagement, okay, for the higher earning millennials, they're there in LinkedIn. Okay. Next is in increasing engagement, you also need to utilize data analytics. Okay. Most of the social media platforms, the Facebook Business Suite has data analytics. So you know exactly where your audience is or which audience you want to tap because you understand data analytics. In websites, your web developer will actually also give you information on which pages, the landing pages. Okay, so YouTube, I think there is also videos of up to how many minutes, like they say up to 2 minutes. So most of your valuable information has to be on the first 2 minutes of your video. Okay, but you also have to have a long video. YouTube says that the longer your video in terms of search engine optimization, you have a better likelihood of being on the top search. So there's just so much information, which I don't think an hour session is enough to cover, but there are a lot of digital marketing seminars out there that you can get. But my objective today is just to really share with you how social media marketing and digital platforms are essential for our businesses to survive and to thrive in this new, better normal. We also know we have to know what people are buying online. In wearesocial.com, it also mentions that people buy the most travel. Okay, for the past years, it has been travel. It's only in 2020 and 2021 that I think fashion and beauty has dislodged this. And now we also know what people are buying online. Okay, so when we find out what they are buying online, okay, we know exactly how to market our products to the people who are buying the kind of products that we have. Next is, you may ask me, okay, that's why I presented this slide, to anticipate your questions. You might want to ask me, what social media accounts should we use? Okay. You know, there's so many overlaps in social media. Okay. So for instance, in Facebook, there would be 99% of Facebook users who use other platforms, which means we don't have to be in all social media platforms. We just have to choose 2 or 3 high-powered media channels to be able to express our brand, okay, to share our brand, to share our products. And it's up to you, because each social media channel will have a different set of audience. But as you can see from this slide, they overlap. So you can just actually choose 2 or 3 of these so that you can move forward in your social media marketing. Don't have to be an expert in all of this. Okay? Not because everyone is in TikTok means you have to be in TikTok. Oops. Yeah. Also, use stories because stories sell. Okay. Remember how we remember more yung kwento? When there's a speaker, we remember yung kwento niya kesa yung mga theories na sinabi niya, because stories sell. In the Philippines, sensational stories sell. Okay, proven by the fact that Tulfo is the top social media influencer there is, with 22 million subscribers. Okay, funny stories sell. Okay, look at Alex Gonzaga. Okay, diba? She's just, when you look at her channel, she's just sharing day-to-day activities, things that she does, and these stories sell. Okay. 2 other top YouTubers, I've listed them down. Si Ivani Alawi and Rance Kyle, both at 14 million subscribers. Okay. And when you look at their channels, they just actually share their passions. Okay. I couldn't say naman nonsense, no? But it's just your ordinary day-to-day activities. And we should learn how to tell our stories. Okay? How to tell our stories, because these stories actually sell. And we should not forget that we should establish a consistent brand. Okay? Because the consistent brand is the one that gives us away. No? It has that brand recall. Once we know who we are, through our identity, our logo, our design, our strategy, and our marketing, we establish a unique brand. Okay. In our story of the Philippine branding, in 2012, we changed our brand to It's More Fun in the Philippines. And it's been going on, wow. It's going to be 10 years in 2022. And it has to fly, okay? The brand is our identity. It shouldn't change just because we changed presidents. For instance, success stories, the branding of Thailand, amazing Thailand. It's been there for ages. And they're at the top of the Southeast Asian number of tourist arrivals. Why? Because they have consistently used amazing Thailand. They would just add a special thing into their brand, like branding, amazing Thailand, hidden shades, and then this open to the new shades. They have an annual or a yearly, I forgot the term, a yearly identity, rather. Let me remember that. These are my senior moments. It's at the tip of my tongue. But they have the identity clear as Amazing Thailand. You know what their campaign, oh, there, I found the word. They have a campaign. Okay, so from Amazing Thailand, they would say hidden shades to discover the tertiary, secondary, and tertiary destinations in Thailand. Then they look at open to the new shades. This campaign led to opening up Thailand to new markets like the single female, the senior male, single female, the senior male, and the LGBT community. And you also have, now their campaign is Amazing Thailand Plus. The plus connotes that they're into additional safety, more rewards for people who would want to visit Thailand. So you see how important branding is, and we shouldn't change brands just because leaders change. And last is to upgrade the digital capabilities of your team. You have to upskill and retool. Okay. Upskilling means you already have a set of skills and you want to learn more. Okay. Retooling also is when you already know some things and you have to change, okay, and do something else because that is what is needed at this time. Okay. I never could imagine me speaking to 200, 300 people at the comfort of a corner of my room. But we had to learn the skills. We had to learn teleconferencing. We had to learn the use of Canva for more attractive presentations. We had to use the different social media channels because we need to, not because we just want to. Okay, the pandemic has caused us to embrace new technologies rather than be insignificant in the future. This allows us to take step, no, or get ahead of other people. In UP, for instance, there are a lot of graduate students who are tourism officers from various government agencies. There are tourism practitioners who are now taking their diploma or their graduate classes with us, mainly because they say it can be done online and they're not as busy as they used to. So it's the chance to upskill and to retool. And that is a good thing. There are opportunities for us. There are so many webinars out there that can allow us to upskill and retool so that we can get ahead. Okay, we cannot just leave our digital footprint to chance. We have to take advantage, okay, of the digital boom, and kailangan natin siyang sabayan. So that we can again visit these beautiful places. So that's it po. Maraming salamat. This is just a momentary pause in how we do things in tourism, but we will all rise above this and tourism will be back with a vengeance. Maraming salamat po. For those who want to keep up the conversation, I have my email address and my FB page. You can take a screenshot. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much, Miss Maricel. You know what? In fact, we are receiving a lot of agreement from our live stream and virtual platforms. But before we move on to that, I'm very interested, especially when you had the breakdown of the different kinds of social media platforms and apps. What do you think po of tourism via TikTok? Kasi right now, that's the fastest growing. That's the Filipinos have moved and it's continuously growing. The number of Filipinos now using TikTok and also TikTok being used for business. What do you think about TikTok tourism and how we can use it for our Philippine tourism as well?
Masaya yan. Pero ako hindi ko na-imagine yung sarili kong nagti-TikTok. But I'm sure there are a lot of millennials and Xennials out there. You know, the Xennials and the Alpha generation spend about 80 minutes of a day on TikTok. And I think if we are to enhance our domestic tourism, a lot of people are into TikTok, and it would be a very exciting platform for us to promote our products and services. But as I mentioned earlier, you have to analyze where your audience is. Okay?
Yes.
And depending on your brand, if you have a high-end brand, you know where your clients are. They're not in TikTok. They'd probably be in Facebook or LinkedIn.
Yes.
So depende sa brand. If you can use that depending on your brand and on the goals, no? If it's just for awareness or the actual purchase, depending on which part of the travel planning process you are aiming to target.
Yes. Thank you very much for clarifying that for us. And in fact, you're absolutely correct because different channels really cater to different markets, different ages, and for different purposes. You're right, from awareness to purchases. Right now, because as a business owner as well, I have witnessed the shift of purchasing from from the Facebook page to Instagram, and we also
Yeah.
had to adapt to that. I did not imagine that it would turn that way during this pandemic, but most of the purchases are done now via Instagram. Even if it's such a small thing, Instagram using the cell phone. So thank you for clarifying that for us. I'm sure we all learned so much. In fact, we have here, Miss Maricel, we have here one comment from Facebook by Melody Valencia Palomares. She says, indeed, the new normal is digital. Online platforms or applications are essential in a business, side by side with innovations and adaptability. Using social media becomes a daily activity of individuals, whether for personal or business purposes. We just need to be responsible in everything we post or share.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. And may I ask also for your ideas in terms of responsible sharing? I know you touched on content creation earlier. Now, I know that with the spread of fake news and other falsehoods online, how can we ensure that we are also using social media or the digital platforms responsibly, and also that can help us in our business?
That's a very good question. Thank you for a critical question that allows us as content creators to also think of the responsibility that and it entails, especially if you already have a tribe or a growing community. You have to be very responsible. I think may hugot to kay Tony Gonzaga, 'di ba? But I think yes, we do really have to be very responsible. And so as content creators, we have to our tribe kasi can see whether we are genuine or we're just out there to sell something. So as marketers, there has to be that credibility. Credibility has to be established, and your accountability as a content creator also has to be such that not because this will fund your there would be more likes or more shares for this for this post that you will keep on doing it. You also have to have your values, no, your brand values in place, and that's your North Star. You don't go beyond just because it will earn or it will become viral. In fact, I'd like to address the issue of when does a post become viral? Okay.
Yes.
You actually don't know. You actually don't know when it becomes viral. So what you do is you just throw out the content in the hope that it becomes viral. So it means more content. Okay. You have to have this content out there, hoping that yes, this exciting content will turn to be viral.
Okay, well, that's a good insight. You have to create. I thought there was gonna be a formula really for what will be viral, especially now that you mentioned earlier that it has to be really emotional, right? It has to be a rave or a rant, and then so in terms of that, we have to be we don't know actually what will become viral, but as long as it is rooted on proper values, then we can keep on creating, and hopefully it's gonna really instill a lot of engagement online. Tama po ba yun, Miss Maricel?
Yes, well said. Uno.
Thank you very much for that. And we all learned a lot. You're right. 1 hour wasn't enough. In fact, I was listing a lot of things, and I am sure that a lot of our viewers today, our attendees, our participants learned a lot. So once again, thank you very much, Ms. Badilla, for your very enriching talk this afternoon. And maraming salamat for your pep talk.
Salamat. God bless you all.
And that about wraps up today's Pep Talks, but it also marks the beginning of PHITEX. If you noticed all throughout, since this morning until Miss Maricel Badilla's talk, it boils down to values and reflecting on who you are and what we do as individuals. And then we can contribute to the community and then our environment and see how it affects the circular economy and overall as well as a tourism industry, especially since the Philippines is number one globally in terms of social media usage. So this is something that is very exciting, especially for our industry. And so to summarize today's key takeaways, we learned that while tourism has been one of the hardest hit by the pandemic, there is no way to go but up by multitasking or diversifying our roles. We also learned that we can have fun while also helping the environment and local communities through sustainable travel. And to add to that, communities are encouraged to have a circular economy so that nothing goes to waste. And we can eventually save the environment and also save money or produce, in fact, sources of living for our communities who might have lost their jobs. Also, the money in our wallets, we can save the money on our wallets rather because of less cost for raw materials, renewable energy, upcycling, and more. And finally, digital marketing is a safe way to promote tourism, safe and effective way, while also having a wider reach as we prepare for the return of travel. You know, this was also touched on by Engineer Raimundo earlier. This is truly gonna encourage us and really give us the pep that we need, you know, the courage and the excitement, and this is what we need to not only create better tourists that are not just in terms of quantity, but more in terms of the quality so that we can keep on growing. And so, once again, if you are watching via our live stream, we would still love to read your comments. And if you have any feedback, suggestions, just keep them coming. We're going to be reading them later on. You know, we love to learn if you have anything to share because we are co-creating. We are co-creating the future of safe and sustainable tourism. So if you have anything to share, we would love to read them, and also we're going to make sure that we check them out on our Facebook page. Now, before we finally and officially close today's sessions, we would like to thank our guests, our speakers, you, our participants, and viewers. And so, right now, we would like to call on COO Mava for the final remarks.
Thank you very much, Miss Kaki. Hindi ko alam na magpo-closing remarks pala ako. Akala ko ikaw na yon. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to reiterate our gratitude to Engineer Eric Raimundo and of course si Prof. Maricel Badilla for the very, very helpful, insightful sessions with them this afternoon. Bitin nga, no? Nakakabitin. Pero yun ang maganda, kung feeling kayo bitin, ibig sabihin talagang maganda and we want more. So we wish to have you with us in future learning sessions. As I said in opening today's webinar, yung PEPTalk are really stories that are meant to spark inspiration and ignite enthusiasm and keep hope alive in our hearts through these dark days. And hopefully, lahat ng mga ako hinog na hinog eh. Ang dami ko kayang notes, Prof. Maricel. Ayan o, punong-puno yung notepad ko dito ng TPB ha, Engineer Eric. And so marami tayong natutunan sana yung mga kasama natin from the various universities that supported us also. Nako, kayong mga estudyante, nako, galingan nyo pa dahil ito, mabilis magbago ang technology, mabilis magbago ang ating mga sitwasyon, and it's important to keep pace with these changes and developments by continuously learning and relearning here. By way of closing, tingnan nyo yung ating theme for PHITEX 2021. It's really beyond business. Yung sinasabi kanina ni Engineer Eric na we're not just looking after the numbers of tourists coming over. We are beyond that. But not to totally negate the goal to still be profitable. So as COO, I would like to remind us na yung PHITEX 2021, talagang pinag-isipan natin yung theme dahil gusto nating ma-reinforce yung parang kumbaga triangle, the triple bottom approach to tourism in the better normal. And what are those three P's? Being able to balance the concerns of the planet, yeah, and we take care of Mother Earth, of our resources, of the natural gifts from the Lord, not compromising our profitability. So, kikita pa rin. Hindi naman tayo maghahanap buhay ng palugi. So, yon, konting tiyaga lang, pero kikita pa din tayo. And in a way that serves the interests of our people. So, yun yung tatlong piece na gusto nating mabalanse as triple bottom, no? Bottom lines ng ating tourism, sustainable tourism in the new normal. The upholding the interests of our people, ensuring your profitability in a way that allows us to cultivate Mother Earth's resources, our planet, because we only have one for our next generations to also cherish. On that note, naku, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, whatever is left of it. And I wish all of you a wonderful learning time, and sana marami kayong makuhang engagements and leads in tomorrow's B2B and also on Tuesday. And si Prof. Maricel is married to a Bicolano like me. And today, you know, is the feast of Our Lady of Peña Francia. So I wish Ina for blessings upon us. May she bring us always to safety in all our journeys, and lead us all to Jesus in all of these endeavors. Because at the end, we are all doing this ultimately as sharers of the mission to make alive the kingdom of God here on earth. Maraming salamat po, and God bless everyone.
Maraming salamat po, COO Mava. And once again to our guests, speakers, participants, and viewers, on behalf of the Tourism Promotions Board, thank you, and we hope you enjoy this event. We're going to be seeing you around PHITEX 2021 from September 19 to 23. Again, that's September 19 to 23. I am Kaki Teodoro. Keep safe, and remember, it's more fun in the Philippines.